Wait, did I say the first book, Cress? Ashish. I can say that, I promise. Come on. Nope, that's not it. Hey fellow fiction fanatics, I'm Chase. Welcome back to my channel. I cannot believe that it is the end of July. This month has been crazy, and because of that, I haven't been able to get any videos out. So for this reason, I will not only be talking about the books that I was able to read in July, but also the books that I was able to read in June. Because I have so many books that I'm going to be talking about, I'll leave timestamps down below in case you want to jump ahead. All that being said, let's get into it. In June, I was able to read 6 books. The first book I was able to read was Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. This features Amara, who is a 25-year-old black woman who one night is accused of kidnapping 2-year-old Briar, who she is babysitting. That's how the story starts off, and I thought this would be a major point of the story, but it was really only a stepping stone for things that happen later on in the book. This event felt completely brushed over, and I was really disappointed by this. I was rooting for Amira, and I thought little Briar was adorable, but that's pretty much the only things I liked about this book. All the other characters were unlikable. The 8-year age gap between Amara and her boyfriend was just uncomfortable, especially when you learn some things later on in the book. And overall, this book just made me frustrated, and I felt sorry for everyone involved in the story. I gave this book 2 stars, and it helped me complete my challenge to read a book with a 4-word title. The second book I read is Enna Burning by Shannon Hale. This is the second book in the Books of Bayern series, and in this book we're following Enna, as she learns both the power and danger of fire speaking, aka fire magic. I love the characters in this book. I love the relationships between them, and the magic and plot are great. Enna is such a loyal friend, and I gotta say it, she has a fiery personality. That's just the perfect way of describing her. She's such a strong character, and I loved reading her story. I also adore the romances in this book, and that ending is absolutely amazing. I love it so much. I do hate everything that Enna has to go through in this. I hate the villain so much. They're so manipulative and awful, and I just want to punch them in their stupid face. I gave this book 5 stars, and it helped me complete my challenge to reread a book, and I'm very much looking forward to continuing to reread this series. The third book I was able to read is There's Something About Sweetie by Sandia Menon. We follow 2 characters. First is Sweetie, who is an amazing track star and has a radiant personality, and she just so happens to be fat. And then we have Ashish, who's just been dumped by his girlfriend, and this has completely thrown off his mojo, and of course their stories intertwine. This has everything you could want in a romance. It's adorable, it's sweet, it's swoon-worthy, and it gives you butterflies. The Sassy Sweetie project is perfection. I loved it. And I thought Ashish and Sweetie complemented each other in the best of ways. Although Ashish does make some mistakes along the way, and I hated that Sweetie's mom makes her feel lesser of herself, but I loved seeing the way things turned out. So I gave this book 5 stars, and it completed my challenge to read a book that the universe chose for my TBR. And the 4th book that I read was Ash by Melinda Lowe. This is a dark LGBTQ plus Cinderella retelling, featuring our main character, Ash. I would say this book was Cinderella themed, but was its own story. I liked the Huntress character, I thought she was really cool, and I liked that it explained the magic and why things were the way they were, like why the magic ended at midnight, and I did like the changes. However, this book does have a really slow start, mainly because instead of like most Cinderella retellings, where we're picking up the story right before the ball is announced, in this book we start off with Cinderella's mother dying. So we see the whole story, which means we see all of the abuse that Ash has to face from the evil stepmother and the stepsisters. I just never understand the motivation behind the stepmother and stepsisters, and I haven't really seen any explanation in any of the retellings that I've read. And ironically, I feel like this story would have really benefited from a love triangle, as in Ash having to decide between the prince, the huntress, and the dark fairy, who wasn't really all that dark. It was like the tales were scarier than the actual thing. But overall, I gave this book 3.5 stars, and it helped me complete my challenge to read a book that I've heard no hype about. The 5th book I was able to read was Ruby Before the Dawn. This is the second book in the Ruby series, which follows some of our favorite side character teams and their adventures in other areas of Remnant. In the show, of course, we're following Team Ruby, and in the first book, we're following Team Coffee, which has both Cocoa and Velvet, and then in this book, Team Sun comes into the picture. And we're following all these characters as they're in Vacchio at Shade Academy. These characters are just top notch, and their relationships are superb. If you've seen the show, you know that Sun is hilarious, and that definitely follows through in the books. I liked meeting the new students and the new professors and the new headmaster, and I love seeing what fairy tales they related to. And I also love seeing the new setting of Vacchio and Shade Academy. There are some new characters that I really liked, and others not so much. But overall, I gave this book 5 stars, and it completed my challenge to read a book that was gifted to me. And the 6th book I was able to read is El Defo by Cece Bell. I didn't realize this going in, but this is Cece Bell sharing her experience about growing up deaf. She got meningitis at a really young age and became deaf at the age of 4. Growing up, she wore hearing aids and a phonetic ear at school. At first, she felt like this made her different, but then she realized her deafness might be a superpower after all. I really loved the message of this story, and I felt a strong connection between her story and my own, and the way that we dealt with things growing up. The art is adorable and really allows you to see from young Cece's perspective. This was such a quick, sweet, and informative read, and I'm so happy that I was finally able to experience it. The one thing I disliked is that I felt her friendships were always slipping away from her, even though it did end on a happy note. But overall, I give this book 4 stars, and it completed my challenge to read a book that had representation of some sort. So of course this had deaf representation. And those are all the books that I was able to read in June. Now on to the books that I was able to read in July. In July, I was able to read 3 books. The first book I was able to read was Palace of Mirrors by Margaret Peterson Haddix. This is the second book in the Just Ella series. We actually follow an entirely different character, who's actually living in the kingdom across the way. I felt like this was a unique tale, and I almost felt like it was a story that I should have known, like it should have been a fairy tale, but I'd never heard of it before. I really liked the friendship that our main character had, and like Just Ella, there were some dark elements that I was not expecting, but I really thought that those added to the story. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing what happens in book 3 because I have no idea. Are we going to have another new character? Or are we going to be following these characters? I don't know, but I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. So I gave this book 4.25 stars. And this completed my challenge to read a book containing my initials in the title. The second book I was able to read in July was Cress by Marissa Meyer. This is the 3rd book in the Lunar Chronicles, so I can't say too much about what happens, but in this book we are featuring Cress, who is our Rapunzel character, and instead of being trapped in a tower, she's been isolated in a satellite for 7 years. In the first book, Cinder, we're really just setting up the story. Then in the second book, Scarlet, we're introducing new characters and seeing how their stories intertwine. And now in Cress, all our characters are coming together to create an epic team and take down the evil queen, Lavanna. The character dynamics are amazing. This book is non-stop action because everything is just finally coming together. I love getting to know Cress. She is an amazing hacker and is absolutely adorable. I love everything about her, and the romances in this book are perfection. I love all these characters so much, and they all make me so happy. I love the nods to the original tales while completely being its own. Please pick these up if you haven't read them. Cress is probably my favorite book in the series. It's so good. The only thing I dislike is that now I have to wait to read the other books, and I just want to pick them up right now. So as you can probably tell, I gave this book 5 stars, and I love this series so much. And it completed my challenge to read a buddy read. And the 3rd and final book I read this month is My Life Next Door by Huntley Fitzpatrick. Samantha's mother has always snubbed the Garretts who live next door. Their large, ever-growing family, their messy yard, their loud children, but Samantha has always found them fascinating, and she's watched them from afar for years. One day, Jace Garrett comes to her house, and that's when their romance begins. I loved Jace and his family. His siblings are adorable, and their family dynamic is chaotic in the best of ways. His parents are so sweet and supportive, and they just radiate this sense of comfort and hominess, and I love them all so much. As I first started reading, I thought the most drama we were gonna see was between Sam and her best friend and Tim, her best friend's brother, but that was not the case. There's something that happens in the book that I was not prepared for, and I was so intensely invested and concerned with everything that was going on. I could not stand her mother's campaign manager. You could tell right off the bat that he was not a good guy. He was irritating and manipulative and just a bad influence. I did not like him in the slightest. There was also a sex scene in this book, which I'm not a fan of, but it was only a chapter, so I liked that you could skip over it easily. So overall, I gave this book 4 stars, and it helped me complete my seasonal read challenge. So those are all the books that I was able to read in June and July. I'd love to know some of the books that you were able to read in the past 2 months. Let me know if you read any of these and what you thought of them, and I'd love to know what your favorite book was for June and July. So let me know down in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to share the love. I'll see you next time. Bye!